Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Six. I thought this would be an interesting one because I love his Jujutsu Kaisen videos. I love his Naruto. I love his Dragon Ball stuff. There's nothing actually out there at the moment that he's done Bleach wise, analyzing characters, doing verses or anything, except for this, where it's his controversial view on Bleach, and I liked his Yu Yu Hakusho one. I like he did how strong is Yusuke in that. But I thought it'd be cool because like at the moment I am getting back into Bleach, watching the Thousand Year Blood War arc and watching comedy videos going over it. But I thought it'd be fun to see what Six thought about the Bleach series. So yeah, let's get into that.
I finished the Bleach manga a little over a year ago at this point, and I like the troll, so I've never given my genuine opinion on the series, and instead I just run around saying I hate it and how every character is just weak, but these don't reflect my genuine opinion
Because they are not.
I've not read many manga or watched tons of anime, but of the 17 I have, Bleach is my 7th favorite. This is my top 6 for comparison, in case you were wondering.
Dragon Ball, Naruto, Jujutsu, Attack on Titan. Okay, fine. I'm very up there with all those.
While Bleach isn't the best shonen,
I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen, I wouldn't say it's like I've only just recently got into it, but I'm loving watching people talk about it, and I'm loving people hate on me in the comment section for my Jujutsu Kaisen stuff as well because I am so dumb. And I love that people take me literal for everything I talk about. I love doing reactions for entertainment's sake. And when I do scaling stuff, it's hilarious to me that people like take me so literal. But anyway,
even though it has its flaws, they are vastly outweighed by the amount of good character moments, interactions, and like any shonen, fights. Before getting started with my thoughts, I'd like to ask you to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as I'd really appreciate it. The beginning of Bleach, honestly, is just a drag and boring. The first 80 or so chapters that predate the Soul Society arc made me want to drop the manga a couple of times before the series actually hits its stride. It's not as bad as the beginning of, say, One Piece or something like that, but it's still boring, and it definitely hits its stride faster than One Piece. I don't really want to focus on this part, though, since this part of the series doesn't reflect my honest opinion.
No. Bleach does start off very slow. Like the opening, like for me, I was anime only until Thousand Year Blood War, and I read the manga from there to see what happened next, and now I'm watching anime again, which is very refreshing. But even in the anime, it was very like it was Monster of the Week-esque kind of stuff.
Opinion on it overall. The Soul Society arc is really good, but a bit overrated in my opinion. It's very standard shonen material for the most part, and even though
once it's overrated, it's decent.
It's not very predictable. The story keeps taking you places you aren't surprised it's going to go. The best example of this is Ichigo needing a Bankai to fight Byakuya, but that's supposed to take years to train. Well, in order for Ichigo to save Rukia, he's either going to have to learn it faster or fight without one and
Alright, yeah, he's right on this.
Went on a technicality.
He's right
the
on this.
Obvious route or predictable one would be to just say Ichigo.
I admit, when I'm wrong and stuff, he's right on
Is a prodigy and can learn Bankai in just 2 hours, or that Ichigo, being a prodigy, can learn Shikai on the level of a Bankai, unlike any Soul Reaper before him. But
he's the main character.
The way Kubo did it was nice, and a good way to show us the genius of Kisuke, which is something he'd keep using throughout the course of the series. While the story here, for the most part, is basic, when Aizen shows up at the end of the arc, he completely steals the show.
Yeah, oh, mate.
And I think the strong ending to this arc is why a lot of people rate it so highly, when the rest of the story is fairly...
Yeah, it's the build up to that. It's like everything seems so straightforward, and then this is the moment where he goes, whoa! Yeah.
Aizen is leagues ahead in every way here. The way the plan was executed and the way he just left afterward isn't really seen in any other shonen of this kind.
No.
I knew a bit about Aizen before reading Bleach, but realistically, nothing I heard about him compared to what I saw on panel. The fact Aizen was a big-brained bad guy has been memed to death. There was really no escaping it, but the memes don't really do him justice, which I guess you can't really expect them to do. But aside from Aizen, I also got introduced to my second favorite character in the series this arc, Kenpachi. Upon
Oh, Kenpachi's amazing, and he just constantly gets moments.
On introduction, Ichigo vs. Kenpachi is definitely my favorite fight in the series up to this point. Nowadays, there are lots of talks about aura and the feeling of a specific character and what it gives off. Kenpachi is almost the embodiment of this concept. When running away from him, Ichigo mentions how it feels as if there's a sword at his throat. And
that's class.
Then when they very first meet, Ichigo gets an imaginary wound from Kenpachi's murderous intent alone. During the beginning stages of the fight, Kenpachi just tells Ichigo to go ahead and get the first strike whenever he wants to. Being a huge Dragon Ball fan, this reminded me of when Cell told Vegeta to do the same thing. I also love that this isn't done for nothing, and it introduces us to a mechanic of the power system at the same time, even if it is a fairly simple mechanic, being that when two spiritual energies collide, the weaker of the two absorbs the impact. It's still a nice touch, rather than just having it mean nothing. I know this next thing I'm about to say is supposed to be the reverse, but I read JJK before I read Bleach, and Kenpachi and Ichigo's interactions reminded me of Yuji and Todo's interactions, especially their first encounter here, and that made me like it just that much more. I also love the power-ups that come in this fight. Kenpachi removing his eye patch, and Ichigo trusting
Mate, it's so cool. It's like I've been suppressing my power the whole time.
Zangetsu, and fighting as a team to raise his power level is done
Later on, I'm going to use two hands, but that's
pretty
not
well.
This,
Just like the last thing, it adds to the power system while also adding to their characters. Ichigo is willing to team up with his Zanpakuto, and Kenpachi thinks they're just weapons, and he's a person who will only trust in his own strength. There is some cringy anime guy dialogue in here where Ichigo says, "I'm not losing to somebody like you who fights all alone," but it's not too big of a deal. It's not like it makes the fight trash or anything, but it's something that already is established as parts of their characters individually. It's not really needed to be said. It's sort of like when Naruto learns about Gaara and he has to mention the fact that Gaara is the same as him. It's like, yeah, Naruto, we know that, man, but I'm a grown man reading these manga. They are meant for kids after all, who probably need things spelled out to them, but whatever, I'm rambling. The fight after this is just one more clash with Ichigo winning or it being a tie, whatever you want to think. But
I'm interested to see how far into the manga this goes.
The anime edition of this fight is pretty
like when it says read the manga, is it all the way? Because I so
trash though. I was extremely disappointed when I looked it up. There are a few cool animated moments like when Kenpachi removes his eye patch, but for the most part, this is pretty lackluster to me. Ichigo versus Byakuya, on the contrary, is really awesome. Not as much as Kenpachi versus Ichigo in the manga, but way better in the anime. Ichigo using Flash Step in the anime is particularly hype, but I didn't really watch the anime, so switching back to the manga, the reveal of Ichigo's Bankai and Byakuya's Bankai as well are particularly memorable parts of the arc, but for different reasons than the other. I think Byakuya's Bankai is pretty interesting and cool, both from an aesthetics perspective and what it actually does. The fact that it makes a million tiny blades is cool, but the fact that they each look like flower petals is an added layer that makes the power system much more intricate than it was before. Ichigo's
that does look boss. Wow. Drawing all that. Be bothered. Go on.
On the other hand, was originally underwhelming, but after Byakuya explains how it's unique after initially calling it pathetic because of its size, I came to like it a bit more. He also gets a blatant better outfit when he turns it on, so that's a plus. However, all of the stuff I mentioned pales in comparison to the end of this arc with Aizen's reveal. We just got through watching Ichigo say he was a fool for trying to fight a Bankai with a Shikai, so watching Aizen literally one-shot Toshiro's Bankai was insane, to say the least. Kyokusui Getsu is also an extremely cool ability, and while some people might say Kyokusui Getsu is just low-tier Genjutsu, I don't really care, because no one really uses Genjutsu the way Aizen uses his Kyokusui.
Yeah, like, there's no one else within the verse that does what he does. Like, so it's OP, it's cool, it's awesome. Like, it's fresh. If you don't try and compare it.
At least not on the scale of manipulating every member currently of the verse in the creative ways Aizen does, say for someone like Itachi. Aizen revealing that not only does the Shikai have a simple condition to meet for its activation.
It's a Shikai, like, goddamn. We don't even know what his Bankai is. No one does. I'm hoping for the anime to do that.
That is literally just seeing the sword be released, and then the reveal that Tosin has been working with him the entire time was great. Because the first thought is, well, how would it work on a blind person? It's just nice Kubo addressed it immediately. The obvious coolest moment of the entire arc is when Aizen is fighting against Ichigo and Renji and then stops Ichigo's Bankai with one finger. This one moment, I'll agree, is better in the anime than it is.
Yeah, it just stops the music. Everyone talks about it all the time
In the manga, because Aizen stopping Ichigo's blade also stops his theme song. Relatively cool though is Aizen explaining that he set up the entire arc to Ichigo. This monologue is interrupted, and not only does Aizen display a level 90 Hado to beat Komamura, but they really emphasize the difference in their power. They're both captain class. How could they be so unequal in strength? After completely dismantling the guy, Aizen just goes right back to explaining how he manipulated everything up to this point before getting what he wanted to get this entire time, that being the Hogyoku. Then, funnily about to carry out Rukia's death sentence when all of a sudden, Byakuya stops it, which is the most obvious writing choice here.
Oh, I mean, fine.
Not saying it's bad for this or anything, but Byakuya wanted to get Rukia executed, and then when no one else can help Rukia, Byakuya stops it. Again, it's not bad, it's just really obvious. Aizen's ascending at the end of the arc as he talks about the vacancy of Heaven's Throne is also just awesome, and on top of that, it's also when he gets his classic Aizen design that we...
Yo, glasses off, hair back. I am no longer a nerd. I am the main villain.
Y'all know and love. Overall, I'd give this part of the story a solid 8 out of 10.
It's amazing.
This next part
It's
of Bleach, though,
amazing.
the Arrancar saga, is definitely my favorite. I'm not particularly
Yeah, it is. Oh, I see where it's going.
too big on the Espada part of the arc, but Fate Karakura Town and the parts that follow are really fantastic.
Fucking awesome.
This might be an unpopular opinion of mine, but the Espada kind of suck. There are obvious stars like Ukuyora or Stark, but for the most part, I don't like any of the Espada.
Oh, what?
Grimjow is a fan.
Oh, come on. Okay, I'll wait. Grimjow.
And favorite as far as I can see, and I just don't get the appeal.
What? No. Grimjow's cool, man. He's like the guy that wants to fight and fights Ichigo every opportunity he gets, and his design's cool. The simplistic, like, he looks more human than most of them with just the face thing. So when he's fighting Ichigo, it seems
This guy, even his design is kind of lame.
What the fuck I just said? I love it. He's the most minimalistic Arrancar, and that's what I love about it. Everyone else has got all this other random stuff that makes them so built up to be like this. I'm an Arrancar. Grimjaw's like, I got this, and I love that because then it seems more. Anyway.
Especially compared to the rest of the group. I mean, this is a series with Ukiura, Noitora.
I am so weird when it comes to this stuff, aren't I? Because I love Grimjow's character design more than anyone else's. It's just the face. It's just that one bit on his face, and then he's got and he looks cool with it, like because he's fighting Ichigo, and it's the only difference. And it's anyway.
Hogyoku Aizen, Stark.
Starting to realize, I don't know what's up with me. I am getting worse and worse as I go on with describing stuff. My brain ain't ticking as well as it used to. So I'm sorry. A few of you have noticed this on the comment section as well about me describing things. But anyway,
Baragon, and among all of them, Grimjow just doesn't stand out, and his conflict with Ichigo, for the most part, I found boring and just uninteresting.
No.
If I had to rank the Espada in terms of who I thought were the best, it'd be Ukiura, Stark, Noitora, Baragon, Grimjow, and then the rest of them. I was going to list them all out, but I came to find out I didn't even remember a lot of these guys' names,
Harabelle.
and if I don't even remember their name, they
She got boobs.
definitely were not important to me when I was reading
It's
the series.
Harabelle, isn't it?
One of the better things of this arc are, again, Kenpachi and Byakuya's fights with their respective Espada members.
Yo.
This isn't something that normally happens in a shonen, at least the ones I've read, but the good guys really carry this arc. Aside from Aizen, who I'll talk about in a minute. Normally, even if the good guys are lacking a bit for me, the villain of the arc will make up for it, and I think that's normally done on purpose by the respective authors of these series, but this time around, it's just different. I know I said I don't really like the Espada, but I don't really like the Arrancar in general either. But Ichigo, Kenpachi, Aizen, Yamamoto, Byakuya, Okiura, Shunsui, Toshiro, Rukia, I could go on. Kubo makes them all shine in this arc so bright, it dims out the trash I don't like about these other characters. Before I start talking about the fights, one thing I don't like about these characters is how special they try to be, if that makes sense. For example, one that really rubs me the wrong way is Baragon. Baragon's Resurrection is an amazing design, but he has
it's freaking fucking
has the most edgy outlook on life due to his ability. He mentions how aging is the most powerful form of death.
Oh yeah, it's like, everything I touch ages and it decays.
Because all must eventually face it. And then when he gets Soifan's arm, he's like, interesting. Even Soul Reapers are afraid of death. And it makes sense, I guess, since these are the reasons for their existence.
Yeah.
But still, it's just so edgy and annoying because none of the other Espada act quite like this guy do.
No, they don't.
Even if they all do govern their
right.
existence. But still, it's just so edgy and annoying because none of the other Espada act quite like this guy do.
No, they don't. He's so different. Like, they're all like, let's fight, let's do it. And he's like, I decay everything and it all dies eventually. I was king of the Uecomundo one time. It's like, okay.
Even if they all do govern a different form of death, solitude, sacrifice, nothingness, despair, destruction, ecstasy, madness, greed, rage. Even this guy's attack, Respira, the breath of death, is just so cringe to me. I'd be lying if I said Soifan and Ushoto didn't become just a bit more likable after taking this dude out of the story.
Yeah, okay.
On to the fighting. Like I said, Kenpachi and Byakuya continue.
We're not going to touch 1,000-year blood war with this.
To impress me in this arc. The way Kenpachi ended his fight with Noitora replays in my head randomly ever since I read it the first time, saying that he doesn't want to die so he'll swing his sword with two hands even though he doesn't like it because it's more powerful, and then just using it to one-shot Noitora after that. It was the perfect way to end that fight, and the way Kubo...
Quite simplistic though as well, but it made sense with his character. It's quite cool.
Drew the sword swing was genuinely one of the best pages in the series for me. Byakuya's fight with Zamari though, after rereading it, is definitely one of my favorites in this series. The way Byakuya counters and picks apart every single move this guy makes is unmatched. This even goes down to a philosophical level. Zamari yells at Byakuya about how Soul Reapers think they're better than Hollows because they devour humans and they're evil and a bunch of other yapping, but Byakuya just says he's slaying him because he tried to hurt his pride. He says it in a different way than that, but it'd just sound too cringy if I repeated it, so I'll just leave it on screen. Aizen in this arc really shines his brightest so far. He's more evil than ever, stronger than ever, and smarter than ever. This isn't villain exclusive, but anime and manga can be filled with quotes that are just ridiculous or don't make sense outside of their world. So I really appreciate it when characters say things that just make sense. Like when Aizen says to Ichigo, distance only matters between two combatants of equal strength. I really appreciated that. It's also followed by him doing something cool, but that's besides the point. I've already talked about Aizen a lot in this video. I don't want to save...
Well, yeah, because Aizen's boss. Aizen's the most coolest thing about Bleach. I love him. The anime can do so much more for him going forwards, but we'll wait.
Some stuff for other videos, but the last thing I want to talk about to do with Aizen and what really made him a top 10 villain of all time for me is Bleach chapter 397. If you're unfamiliar with the chapter numbers, this is the chapter that Aizen reveals to Ichigo that every battle he's ever had taken place in the palm of his hands.
He planned the whole thing the whole time.
And the dialogue in this chapter between these two is genuinely the best dialogue in the entire series. I never had more fun reading a chapter or been more invested than this chapter right here. But let's move on to the last arc. I want to save the whole Fullbring arc for a different video. I know this is an unpopular...
Oh, don't do that. you're gonna get so many overlapping arguments in that, but that's what you want. Alright, cool.
Their opinion, because I've been around, but I do not like the Doves
Fullbring arc is so
in
weird.
your Blood War arc. Like everything else in Bleach, this has cool things about it, but for the most part, I just don't really see why people like it so much.
Oh, we are talking about. Oh my god.
My criticisms for this arc aren't, I guess, what you would call valid criticisms. It's just more the feelings I got when reading the arc. I didn't like it. I don't like any Quincy that appears in this arc. I don't like Yuha, Jugrim, Lille Barrow, etc. The only Quincy in this arc that I like is Grimmy. This is also the arc where I liked Ichigo the least. I really don't like the character journey he went on after his Bankai got broken, and the reveal that he is truly a Soul Reaper, Fullbring, Hollow, Quincy, Might,
He's everything.
breed was not appreciated in the slightest. I thought that was lame.
Oh.
Similarly, the Zero Squad was lame, with the exception.
Oh yeah, no, alright, fine. We're on manga only, aren't we? Alright. Let this slide. This Zero Squad was lame. Then alright, fine.
Ichibei, of course. Kenpachi and Byakuya don't even have their usual greatness in this arc, even though they once again were one of my favorite parts of it. Onoha being the old Kenpachi was lame.
No. I liked that in the manga. I remember reading that and thinking that was... No, I thought that was cool.
Yamamoto's fight with the Yuha clone was very cool though. In both the anime and manga, that was a fantastic fight. And just to say, the start of the arc in general is pretty strong.
It is.
whole Soul Society first invasion was pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
It just fell off after that, and there was nothing to really ever pick it back up for me and get me interested. Like I said though, the criticisms I have for this arc aren't an in general conclusive type thing. Like, I won't say this arc is poorly written or anything. At least when I was reading it, I didn't see any glaring plot holes to turn me off from the story. I just simply did not like what I was reading for the most part. So yeah, this isn't a word of God where if you like this arc, I think you're stupid. I just didn't enjoy it. Aizen was great as always though.
Oh yeah, like Aizen's always awesome. And yeah, like I said, like you guys, I'm really enjoying getting back into the Bleach anime. Because like I thought the manga was cool. It had some points though. But yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. But thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video and want to be able to watch patron-only reactions such as Solo Leveling and the original Dragon Ball series, link in the description of the Patreon page. $1 a month is the last special. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't. Leave comments below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. See you guys, guys. Nickname.